Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
We're back at you in Gloves Off. I'm Paul Buitrón, and today we have a great guest. Somebody that's a dear friend of mine. We always have some great conversation. Everybody's always talking about politics and talking about which direction Laredo's going. And there's certain people that I know personally that know the ins and outs of politics, know the who's behind what, the history of the certain different factions that we have. And there's nobody else but, I call him a sage in politics here in Laredo, and that's Hilario Cavazos. How we doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you for that nice introduction. I'm humbled.
But it's the truth. There's many people out there that claim that they know politics, and they say because they held a sign or that they have some friends that are elected officials on Facebook that they know what politics is. And you were a public official.
Yes, I was. I was privileged to serve one term at Laredo Community College, now Laredo College, from 2008 to 2014, and it was an honor. Yes, we didn't win re-election, but we still got 43% of the vote, considering it was an uphill battle. But hey, it is what it is, and I'm not bitter. And I just had said, win or lose, that was going to be the last campaign. I didn't want to run, but then I said, you're breaking your promise to yourself. You're going to run again, and I just said no. And plus 2 grandkids came in, and that's one of the reasons I stayed out.
Things in there, but you've always been around it, and you've always been involved in it. You've always seen it from the backstage of everything in there. For kind of saying, like, if it's a play, you've seen it being produced.
Yes, I've seen it being produced, and I stayed away from it for a while. But these are times, Paul, right now that we live in, that we have to be involved some way, somehow, because there are a lot of problems going on in the city. The city, I say City Hall is chaos. Maybe some people say that I'm going to the extreme, but it is what it is. I mean, there's an upturn up there of personnel, people resigning. You get rid of an assistant city manager, then the interim manager leaves. You get rid of a city attorney, then they have some candidates. They only interview one candidate, and I don't have anything against the current city attorney Zone Win, but what the hell's going on? I'm sorry.
No, you're correct.
What's going on in our city? If you're a Laredoan, you should care and ask these questions.
No, you're absolutely correct, because the city of Laredo has, let's take it back 20 years.
Yes.
Okay, let's take it back to 2000 to the present.
Yes.
I just moved back in 2000. Born and raised here in Laredo, so I knew most of everybody who was there. We knew people that were not elected public officials when I left.
Yes.
And now they're elected public officials now. And you see a different change. Laredo was growing. Laredo in the 2000s was the second fastest growing city in the nation. All of a sudden, we're the worst in top 10s and a bunch of things. Top 50s, we're in the list of a bunch of things,
Quality of life is one issue. Lack of economical development and jobs, high-paying salaries, and why do we have a brain drain? Some people say, some CFOs say, well, if they have true family values, they'll stay. It doesn't matter. Some of the kids that we have, and I'm going to use my 2 daughters as an example. Sure, I'd love to have them here, but they have their own lives and their own goals. And I'll use my daughter Melissa as an example. She is a college professor at Incarnate Ward and a nurse practitioner, and easily making close to $200,000. And then I have my eldest daughter, who works for the famous Napa Rehab Center. They're known for their clinics in Sydney, Australia, Boston, LA, and now Austin. Austin, Texas is their newest one, and I do believe they're going to have one in London. That's their next clinic.
That's fantastic.
And the staff in Austin everywhere they were offered if they want to go train the new staff or relocate over there. And my daughter was offered to go, but she preferred to stay in North Austin. Actually, they live in Round Rock,
Sure.
but the clinic is located in North Austin.
You see, and that's a problem.
I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's where the opportunities are at.
Absolutely. We have no opportunity for growth with work schedule. You know, people here care about, and believe me, don't get us wrong,
Yeah.
they care about the import-export companies. The jobs that they're going to get are usually warehouse jobs or
Logistics.
You know, you're going to be in the warehouse, you're going to be packing in and out. Most of the jobs that are inside are Mexican companies that come across.
Mhm.
They bring Mexican workers with visa workers in here. They really don't hire people here. A lot of people might say you might be wrong, but to the day I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the differences if there is or not.
I would have to agree with you on that. They bring their own staff
Sure.
and their own inside staff, and some of their staff that they bring are already bilingual because they took, language, English over there, because in order to do international business, you have to be fluent in both languages, both the Spanish language and English language.
So besides federal jobs, working for the county or working for the municipality or the school districts, you're not going to get a job outside unless it's in HEB or in Walmart or something to that effect.
Or IBC Bank, they're
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
so the jobs out there, the opportunity is really not that good for somebody that's going to college and wants a goal to go elsewhere. That has that ability.
Yeah.
And believe me, Laredo needs manufacturing jobs.
we need factories, big factories.
Absolutely.
Why is it we don't have an automotive factory? Why? Some people would say, well, because we don't have enough water rights to the river. We lack water rights. And yes, we have problems with the river right now. Some say it's drying up, it is polluted. You have other municipalities in Mexico that are not supervised, that are dumping into it, and that's why we have the environmental issues that we have. And some of our liberal environmental groups, and I don't have anything against them, are up in arms. But
And coming to that point, the city's in bad shape. It's in bad shape, and we're in a point in time that we can replace 5 individuals, and we need to pick and see which ones are going to go in there, and people that are not going to go in there with some grudge against somebody, people that are not going to go in there because of special interest, people that are going to go in there to work for the betterment of Laredo, not for the betterment of their special interest, and people that they're not going to be self-serving or self-entitled. You need folks in there. You have some good candidates right now coming up and saying, you know what, I want to try. But we have to hold our politicians accountable, and we're not holding them accountable. You have people go in there with a promise, they go in there, they do something else. Like I said, a lot of these folks that go inside with a grudge to go after somebody, and that's not what it's about.
yeah, they're already axes to grind when some of these folks win, and with staff members or certain relatives that work for the municipality, like the city or the county. And right now, I know we're talking about the city hall and the shape that it's in, and we've got problems. There's no consistency. You have council members that feel that they should rule like emperors, and there are about 2 or 3 of them that are causing these problems.
No, you're correct about that. But the city since our mayor went inside has spiraled downward, and it's been spiraling faster and faster. Before it was just a big old circle. Now we're doing the smaller circles, and it's going faster than before.
It's going real fast.
I mean, you went in there with I guess it's his ego. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he has a bad temper. Maybe he yells at people inside. I do not know. I knew him from the outside, and I always admired him. But I mean, you've gone through 5 city managers, countless city assistant city managers. You've gone through several city attorneys. The water problem is an issue. They haven't gone after grants for the money to help that. They blame the infrastructure on the small businesses. They shut down, everything was blamed on the small businesses. When COVID came, everything was pointed out to the small businesses. I have never been embarrassed of Laredo. I'm going to tell you why.
I'm embarrassed too.
I've never been embarrassed with Laredo. My father's a doctor. I grew up with physicians. I know most of them. I know a lot of them. And you had 175 doctors that wanted to destroy small businesses and close them and completely destroy them during COVID because they could not do their elective procedures, you know? And they couldn't do those procedures, so now they were basically wanting to go after the small businesses. I had never seen that. That was just a disgrace. And it's like small businesses should tell, if they ever told anybody, you know what, you want your nose fixed, go to San Antonio. You want breast enhancement, go over there in San Antonio. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
They were keeping the money here with the doctors, and these doctors turn around and did that. That was the most embarrassing thing and most disgusting thing that I saw in Laredo when they said we're going to go after small businesses. And in the past 3 years, small businesses have taken a shot. There's so many that have not coming back. They asked for help during COVID. They did not give them. The city basically just turned their back to them. They gave money, $2 million. It was actually $13 million that was brought down federally for small businesses. And all of a sudden, where is it? Nobody got it. I don't know of a small business. Believe me, I know many.
That seems to be the problem here.
You know what I mean?
Where does the money go to? The same thing that was said with the Laredo College. Okay, you shut the programs down, so the money was there. You had it in reserve to bring back the program. Now they say, I don't know where the money's at. Why do monies tend to disappear in Laredo, or they move them? I'm not saying every entity does that, but that seems to be an issue here in Laredo. Not saying everybody is a thief, but you got a couple of entities. You know, the small businesses, my God, we're lucky those that survived. And then what they are doing to the athletic programs at Laredo College, you got kids that rely on that for scholarships. That motivates them to want to get a college degree or start on what's that degree called? The associate arts degree. And then you get rid of your coaches. You leave them hanging all this time, and then the next day you shut down access to the library, to their classrooms, to their offices. You've been relieved of your duties because there's no money. And just like that, they end the contract. Those people, loyally, they waited, and then all of a sudden they're told they don't have a job. These people have bills, expenses.
That's the thing.
And then with the inflation here and the price of gasoline, and I know some of the politicians, Cavazos went from one extreme to another. Hey, it's reality.
No, it's a reality.
It's economical reality.
Well, and what we're talking about, that we're taking back to the 2000.
Yeah.
Laredo's always been a Democratic voted town.
Yes.
They've never had a Republican.
We've never had a strong two-party system here.
Never. Even though you had some apparent Republicans that were voted into office, like Joe Guerra, who was an excellent councilman, and Belmares, which was another good councilman at that time frame. So they went in there, but we really haven't had the Republicans here for a very long time. Laredo's been forgotten. I'm glad that they're pushing candidates now and they're growing. But that aside, back then you had two factions. You had a faction of a judge, and you had the faction of the sheriff.
Yeah.
And if you said hi to one of the judge's factions, well, guess what? You were blackballed by everybody alongside with the sheriff. And that went on and on and on and on. You had police officers that if you had a bumper sticker in your car, you were stopped and given a ticket and harassed. If you had a sign of a different politician in your business or in a restaurant, I know because I witnessed it in a friend's restaurant, the food inspector went in there and basically told you to either take it off or you're going to get a ticket. So that type of, how can I say, I wouldn't call it extortion because they weren't extorting money, but those threats and that type of mafia behavior,
political pressure,
has been around for a while.
It was even around during the time of Bebe Zuniga's campaign. One of the old-time LISD administrators in curriculum, I'm not going to mention his name, was supporting Ms. Zuniga, guess what? He got demoted. Got demoted back from a main office curriculum writer to a vice principal. Isn't that kind of humiliating?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, if you went up against a school board member,
Yeah.
they went after your kids in school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of a sudden the dogs were there and they found one seed of marijuana, and your kid was now burnt because he had one seed of marijuana when the kid was a good kid. You have that type of mentality. I don't know what they're living or what they think they were, but those habits were around 20 years ago. They were around in the early 2000s. Now it's gotten to the point that it's up and in your face. The threats are around. Look at the way the police acted during COVID, the small businesses. It's actually a terrible disgrace that we're going through. And we better vote in good people to fix all that. I'm not saying that every elected official is bad. Don't get me wrong, people. I'm just saying that there is a habit that has been formed, and issues like that have been taken over. Maybe you know about it. Maybe they might say Paul's wrong about this, but those things exist.
I would feel that you are correct. And again, like I'm saying, not every official is. But unfortunately, there's some key officials in leadership positions that do abuse their power.
Absolutely.
And it is a fact. And that's why you have those problems at City Hall. And I don't see some state leaders stepping up to the plate, especially a senior senator commenting. I know she may say, and not that I have anything against her, but being that she is a senior member and she's been in public office since 1986, you would figure that she would get on the phone and tell these people, get your house in order, because it makes us look bad at the state level in Austin, Texas.
But let me tell you something about Laredo during the pandemic era and post-pandemic era. The people that stepped up to the plate was our U.S. Congressman, our Texas Senator,
Yes.
our 2 state representatives,
Yes.
and Webb County. They were the ones that were holding up the fort. They were the ones that actually stood up there with the standard of Laredo and started trying
When
to
you
push
mention
me.
Texas Senator, you're talking about our state senator?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Senator Safarini. She was in there, and her and State Representative Richard Raymond and Tracy King, County Judge Tano, our U.S. Congressman Henry Cuellar. They were helping Laredo stay afloat. Laredo was hurting itself over and over and over, and it was just and I think right now people know that. I think right now the COVID ghost is going to come back and bite a bunch of people that are in there. We had this conversation before, that those that were elected during the COVID year are not going to be around afterward.
No. When I mentioned our state senator, and she is a senior member, I would like for her to be a little more proactive, telling these people to settle down. It's making us look bad. Yes, I know she stepped up to the plate. Yes, I know our 2 state reps, Richard Raymond, has stepped up to the plate, and so has Mr. Tracy King, and there have been a few folks that have stepped up to the plate. They've held us. Cuellar was cruising fine until this happened on the indictment. He just barely won by 289 votes against Ms. Cisneros. I don't know, this young lady's going to make a 3rd run. Some people have said that they doubt it. She's been given 2 shots. I have a feeling that the liberal faction will try to recruit another young candidate. The reason that they had chosen her, being that she had worked for Congressman Cuellar and knew what was going on. I don't know if Henry's recruiting any more of these young people to work. I'd be very careful after what he's been in through, and then with this indictment. I don't know if he's going to have clear sailing going into the fall campaign. We just don't know. He should have clear sailing. The advantage that Henry has in Webb County, that the district showed that it is very loyal to him. It's going to be very hard for Cassie Garcia. Now, people at the Texas Tribune are calling this race a toss-up, but Cassie's going to have a strong vote coming out of her backyard, the Rio Grande Valley.
You know, I agree with you. And I'm going to support the congressman 100%. And the reason I'm going to support the congressman is because He showed care for the small businesses that were around. He's shown care for the community of Laredo. And not only that, the rest of it, I look at it as a political sham. But getting back to where the city's at, and it's really what we're at, because lo and behold, the city's the one that's supposed to be bringing jobs. The city's the one that's supposed to be giving us clean water. The city's the one that's supposed to be giving us good police service. And guess what? We have some great officers, but we have a handful there that need to be culled, and they should not be wearing a badge. And the city of Laredo needs to start enforcing that. They need to start getting behind themselves, and instead of hiring somebody that was bad in one department and transferring them over and making them director of another department, you should cut them off now. Enough.
I'm in agreement with you on that, and that again boils down to the leadership and what goes on in council. And I don't mean to attack Mr. Sines as the mayor, but I'm going to say it is what it is. And when you were a city mayor and you've gone through 5 city managers and numerous assistant city managers, and I've lost count of city attorneys, what type of executive leadership is that? He might say, well, the mayor's just a ceremony. It is what you use and how you use the position. You can demonstrate effective leadership and direct the council, but...
What do you think we need to do as a city, as people that care and are concerned right now? Because it's pretty bad. What do you think we should start looking at? What do we think we should start doing? Because it's something that, listen, if we get the wrong people inside, Laredo's buried. It's gone.
I know it's gone.
It's not going to be around here. They want to spend $200 million on a park that's going to benefit Laredo more than it's going to benefit us. It's going to benefit the coyotes and the drug dealers that are pushing stuff across. I don't know what kind of mind frame they want, but that's one issue. This group wants to protect the river, yes, but then they want to put all the trees inside. That's going to be eating more water than everything else that's going on here.
Yes.
Let's get back to reality. Let's fix our water problem that we have.
That has to be fixed first.
Let's get a secondary water source.
Yes.
I don't care wherever they bring it from. It's something that needs to happen. We can't be playing this give me money, slide me some money underneath a table mentality. It has to stop. I mean, it was a shame.
The river situation, yeah, I would have loved to have had a river walk. And probably the time to do it was in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. Now's not the time. You've got a cartel problem, immigration problems. So you're going to have a restaurant there, and like one of the mayoral candidates said, yeah, you're going to have a beer, and guess what? You're going to watch rat-tat-tat shooting going on in the evening when they're trying to move narcotics, or you're going to see people being chased or crossing the river. And then at night, the thing is going to cost millions. You said 200 million. Okay, let's say you build the thing. How many businesses are going to develop on the U.S. side? And if you do have a few restaurants, you're going to have 24/7 security. Who's going to pay for it? The taxpayer? Or the businesses? Or what? If it's not being supported by business, then because businesses don't have confidence. So they want the city to float the bond, but who ends up paying for it? The taxpayer. The taxpayer is already drained with this inflation right now, and we're getting out of COVID, and then you have this high price of gasoline, and they say, well, it's because of the war between Russia and the Ukraine, and then you have a president that says, well, I can't help you with that. Now, yesterday, Biden said, well, I can't help you now that they've struck down Roe versus within. What is it that you can do, Mr. President? And basically, it sounds like absolutely nothing. So, in other words, where's the leadership at the executive level of the United States?
No, we have none.
But we have none. No, we don't.
And that resonates all the way down to
and it comes down, it trickles down.
And right now, you're seeing it there in our municipality.
Yes.
And I come back to the municipality. This administration has allowed a hate group to go inside and go after people while allowing their own elected ones sovereignty, even though they were going after certain people, and personal attacks, and attacks towards the city, and attacks towards the citizens, and it was hunky-dory, but everybody else was corrupt. Everybody uses the word corruption, but when you ask them, show it to me, show me proof, nobody seems to bring it. Nobody seems to bring it out. Nobody seems to say, here's the proof for the corruption here, here's where they took the money. Nobody has it. It's a figment of their imagination or speculation that this is going on. Well, if it is, let's bring it forth. Let's bring it forth. Let's stop.
Show.
I mean, we understand there was, we just got a constable that just got hit for prostitution ring. Let's say what it is.
And I believe that he's going to be sentenced. His sentencing was originally scheduled in June and then July. I believe it's going to be scheduled in August.
Well, regardless, he was one that was always persinando, saying,
Yes.
Hallelujah, Jesus, hello, how are you?
Yes.
And he was doing prostitution.
Yes.
Where's the hypocrisy? Listen, we have to hold our public officials accountable.
Yes.
There is no transparency.
Yeah.
They go in there with one thing and they end up breaking promises left and right. Listen, I'd rather have somebody that says, I'm going to go in there and try to better my community to move forward, than having these little clans, factions, going in there and controlling the city. If you really look at it, it looks like the 5 families of the mafia in New York, each one of them sitting up there, and then if you don't like this, we're going to send you a building inspector to go cause harm to your business, like they do all the time, or that we're going to mess around with your kid, or you're going to mess around with that, and they do that. They do it, and they get away with it, and certain people they don't want to do it to, because some people will retaliate and all of a sudden will get in your face. But that is a problem. Laredo has gone back to the 70s at times of Martin, and it's not one, it's a bunch of them.
Yes. Yes, it is a bunch of them, and it's sad, and doesn't allow the city to grow to its potential like the cities in the valley have grown to their potential. And then the excuse I hear from one councilman who is a possible mayoral candidate, well, Hilario, you need to look at the population figures. That is a lame excuse. If we wanted to achieve economical success, we would have done it a long time ago.
Well, we were doing it. Look at it. We were the second fastest growing city. You can see the growth in the South, and continue to grow in the South, but you do not see the manufacturing jobs. You do not see those jobs coming in here. You see people leaving. You see people from the import-export leaving to San Antonio, and it's a known fact, but they live in a bubble. They're like, wait a minute, you don't know what I know because I'm over here, and you're just a peon. Hey, get off your horse, because before you were elected, you didn't even understand if it was raining or if it was a sunny day in Laredo.
You had industries leave. One of them was Reyes Industries that had a large contract with the federal government for the Army to make cots. They left. They had a falling out with the administration here in Laredo and with the Saul Ramirez administration and the council at that time, and they packed their bags to San Antonio, and I know that Saul knocked him. Well, I guess you're going from Regency Park to the Dominion. And then he answered back and said, well, you gave me no choice. It was more favorable for me in San Antonio to relocate my business.
Of course.
And right there and then, that sends a message to business.
But not only that, it resonates, from the city to the other different areas that control businesses, or where businesses are going to open up. I mean, the rent, just to go rent the small space right here, the spaces here are absurdly too high. I mean, you look at 1,000 square foot, you're looking at $4,000 anywhere you want to go buy it, and some of them are not even finished. They're, you still have to cut
You have to go in there and finish it.
And finish it off, and all of a sudden you tell them, well, do I get a month free or 2 months free? Oh, you cannot. And then if you go tell that's what I'm hearing, is you go to the building and planning and say, you know what, I'm going to open up over here. Oh, it's going to take another 20 days for us to go out there. Wait a minute. I've never heard of that. You know, I lived in Dallas, which has it's way bigger than us here. You went and rented some place, you went over there, all of a sudden you had the inspector the next day looking at your place and saying, okay,
Yes.
we're gonna give you a temporary meter for electricity because you're gonna be working inside, and then at this time you have to finish whatever you're doing before it gets final inspection,
Yes.
before you go in.
Yes.
But not 20 days later, 30 days later, and guess what, if you're not using our certain contractors, it might be 2 months later.
Yes.
You know, so, and that needs to change.
That mentality needs to change. And again, that hurts business. And then some people might say, well, the reason the landlords are charging that amount, the taxes. There's no tax break here. The taxes are very high at the level of the city and the school districts. County, más o menos, I don't know how high they are, but I remember when I would look at my dad's taxes from our 2 buildings downtown, I always saw that the city and the school districts were the highest.
Absolutely.
And even UISD's taxes are very high. Even maybe a bit more higher than LISD, but still LISDs are very high. Again, LISDs are very high because it's a district that is landlocked. Again, a lack of vision on the old board members. And those old board members at one time governed both Laredo ISD and Laredo College, junior college back then, as it was known.
You know, and this regime that we have now has to stop. This regime has to wake up, and somebody needs to tell them, their backers need to tell them, hey, wait a minute, you better stop because we're going to lose it. Somebody has to talk to them to get some sense into them, because they're living in some kind of bubble that, well, or their bubble and our bubble are not the same. They're not listening to the people. The people are talking. A lot of people are afraid to mention it. You know, I get emails constantly. I get phone calls constantly because people know the number, and they're always asking questions about what can we do this. Like, number one, call 311. File your complaint in 311. I can't be doing everything, but there's a concern out there, and a heavy concern of how can we fix this. And the elections are coming up. What would you say?
I would say to support candidates that are going to be responsible and that are going to be accountable. I see one mayoral candidate that has that seems to know what's going on. He does a lot of writing, and that candidate is, I'm going to mention his name, Poncho Caso. He is an outsider. Yes, at one time he was a member of the council, but many years ago he has worked at the state level, from the state controller's office, and he's worked in the private sector. He's a very good writer, and he seems to know the issues that are going on. Another major mayoral candidate who's the son of a former county judge, and the county judge was very active with the old party, has been very quiet. He says he wants to run. He says he's going to make an announcement in July, but people are committing already, and he may not have the people that he thinks that are going to be behind him, because people are going to set aside friendships, and people are going to say, it's not that I have anything against you, it's just that there's so many problems in our city. We need a mayor that's going to be effective and efficient, and that is going to tackle the issues and not play politics, but offer solutions.
Absolutely. You need a mayor that's going to bring everybody together, not the
Yes.
different factions fighting amongst each other. And you going with a hate group, and you going with an extremely left group and doing whatever they want. It is extremely outrageous of what's going on there.
I hear that one council member, I don't know if you want me to mention his name, is possibly supporting 2 candidates. And well, so much for loyalty, you know.
No, well, let me put it to you this way: loyalty is not around here.
No, it's not
You know,
around.
There's very few men that were brought up in Laredo that could shake your hand, and that's the deal.
They look you in the eye.
And that's the deal that's going to be. You don't have to ask me again. It's done. And
When they can't look you in the eye, that means that.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, I was brought up that way. You shake my hand, it's done.
Yes.
But a lot of the people up there, you can have 4 or 5 contracts written by the best attorneys, and they're still going to break it.
Yeah.
And it's so loyalty there. It's not there, you know. It's just it's right now Laredo's in a bad shape, and they can say whatever they want, but it is my opinion, people.
It's my opinion too.
I love my city. Yeah. I'm worried for my city. I'm worried about it for my kids' futures here. For those little guys that are going to school here, is there going to be something in the future to look up to, or because the way it's going here?
Well, my brother's children are still here, and his daughters, and I worry for them because my brother's no longer here. So he passed away due to COVID.
But
and my daughters and my grandchildren have already left.
No. I'm telling you that people are leaving in leaps and bounds, and
they're waiting for me to leave. I don't know if I want to leave. As I get older, Paul, I'm going to be 62 in October. I understand now. My father would say, I like Laredo. I love Laredo. Because there was a time in my life, in my 50s, I would say, I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. But then you look, with this COVID, it changed my perspective. And then the economic and traffic issues in San Antonio and Austin, I think I like it better here. But because I know my bankers, I know people here, folks like you, good people. Laredo has its share of good people, but it's unfortunate that we don't have good people in key leadership positions.
No, we have some. We can't.
Not everybody's bad, but we've got some people that.
You know, we got some public officials there that are afraid to voice their opinion because they're afraid of the retaliation. They're afraid of the folks that are afraid of telling others how they're going to vote, or even vote. People, just don't want to vote anymore because they're afraid of the retaliation of putting up a sign. This election year is going to be one that's going to hit a lot of people off curve. You see the comments on social media. A lot of people are upset. A lot of people, I think there's a silent community that's going to come out and vote. A lot of the incumbents are not going to be there anymore. A lot of people that thought that they were going to be elected are not. And I think there's going to be a new change of face. But if that change of face goes the wrong way, Laredo continues going the way it's going.
And I know I may have upset some people in what I just said, but I have to speak my mind because it is what it is. You can't stay silent anymore, Paul. Because as somebody that knows about politics, if I stay quiet, I'm being irresponsible. I can't stay silent anymore. I stayed silent for a long time. When I returned, I call it my period of exile in being in Cotulla and in Uvalde, and then coming home after 4 years because of politics. I couldn't find a job. I got retaliated. So when you talk about it, I know what you're talking about. I know. I didn't ever think that I was going to come back. Lord and behold, I was offered a teaching job here, and I'm back. And I said, let me get established. My dad got ill, passed away. Then my brother got ill, passed. But that's already happened, and I can't stay on the sidelines anymore. I've got to speak on issues, even though I'm not seeking public office, nor do I intend to seek public office. But I sure as heck can still be an activist and give my commentaries verbally. I'm not an eloquent writer like Mr. Caso is, but I can put little headlines on my social media.
Hilario, the only thing I ask for those listening is, folks, elections is here. We're in dire straits. Mm-hmm. And we need to understand that we have to do research on all the candidates. We have to see where the city's going. If you like the way the city's going right now, keep the ones you have. But everybody that I've talked to is against when everything's going on, and people are mad.
People are upset, Paul.
And people are mad, and people are angry, and people are upset, like you say, and people are tired. And right now, I think, and I say it again, things are going to change. But let me tell you this, I think we need a charter revision. I think we have to put in our charter that you only have one term and that's it. If you cannot put the speed bumps, fix the traffic lights, make sure the trash is picked up, make sure that we have water in 4 years, you're not going to do it in 8 years. So If you run for city council, you have one term, and sayonara, you're out. Give it to somebody else that can do.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to happen now. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to continue talking here because we have a lot to talk about. But the politics in Laredo is alive and kicking. We've lost it. It's kind of gone sour. But I think we, the people, can bring it back. And hopefully we can do so because we need it for our future.
There's always hope, Paul.
And until next time, we'll leave you at peace.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a place, a school, an institution where a professor resides. One that for the past 30 years has traveled the world teaching others. A pioneer in America of the fighting science of savate. One who codified the sports of this fighting style. One who has produced clubs, champions, and continues to develop. Listen to work.
Hello, welcome to Patron Academy. My name is Stephen Bird. I'm here to talk about the benefits of this wonderful school. I'm now on my second, beginning my third year here at the Academy, and my first year learning savate. Why did I come here? I came here 2 years ago because I wanted to better myself. I'm in a position and job where performance is everything, and others depend on my performance. So I decided I'd better myself by coming here to do just that. Since I've joined, I've learned many things, both about myself and the world around me. I recommend this school. It'll teach you hand-eye coordination. It'll help you lose weight. It'll help you learn self-confidence. And the biggest benefit of all is it'll teach you about yourself. Things you never thought were possible, you'll learn to do. And things that you never conceived of being able to do, you'll learn to do. I thank Mr. Buitrón for all his time and patience with me, and I know that he's prepared and skilled to give you as much time as you're willing to devote to this art. So come, stand inside a temple of honor filled with memories of people who, like us, started with nothing and became great in their own ways. Thank you.
Of Professor Buitrón. Come train at the best kept secret of Laredo. Buitrón Academy, 956-401-4868. savate.biz.